So yesterday we were discussing the concepts of this chapter by name ray optics. Today we will be doing questions based on that classwork questions. So let's start with the first question. Yes, if there are few topics which are left, I will be discussing that with along the questions. Right. So let's start with the first question. It says that a ray of light is incident on a plane mirror along a vector given by I cap plus j cap minus k cap. The normal on the incident point is given along I cap plus j cap. The unit vector along the reflected ray is given by what? The answer is right here on the screen. But then we have to also understand how to do in general questions. So let me go to a blank screen, discuss, then we will come back and write down this answer. Yes. So the real world is three dimensional. So let me call this with your permission as the x-axis, the perpendicular to be as equal to y-axis, and the third to be as equal to z-axis. Okay. Now in my question, he has told that the normal is pointing in I cap plus j cap direction. I cap and j cap means I cap and j cap component are both positive and both are equal also. My dear friends, here onward I will require big time your help. If I say that the unit vector along normal is I cap plus j cap, do you all agree with me that unit vector should be pointing in some direction like this, exactly 45 degrees with the x-axis and also 45 degrees with the y-axis. Exactly 45 degrees with both x-axis and y-axis. Okay. So if the normal is pointing along that direction, then which way does the mirror point? Normal should be perpendicular to the mirror. So mirror is something like this. Please imagine three dimensionally, only then you will understand it well. Okay. Why am I doing that? Because in unlike this question, which is pretty simple, there will be questions in which things will have to be drawn from your side and only then you will be able to do the question. That is the first thing that I want to discuss. The second thing that I want to discuss with all of you is the following. Suppose I draw a real plain flat two-dimensional mirror. Okay. Let's say, just for simplification, I'm taking this example. Suppose this is along x-axis, this is along y-axis, then the normal to it should be along z-axis, right? And one ray comes and hits this mirror. So the ray comes in this direction, it flips around the normal and the rest of it remains unchanged. My dear friends, please compare this ray number 1 and 2. Do you all agree with me with your imagination that only the component which was along the normal direction got flipped around by 180-degree and everything else remained as it is? There is no reorientation along x-axis, there is no reorientation along y-axis, only the direction along normal has got flipped around by 180-degree. Okay. So what is that I am trying to tell you? Please imagine, just don't do the mathematical question. The initial vector was coming along this direction. Because of this z, it flipped around and went in the opposite direction. Normal component or the component along the normal got flipped around by 180. That means all the pluses become minuses and vice versa. Rest of it all remained as it is. It did not cause anything else other than this. With all this background, let's go back and now look at the question. And I hope after listening to all this, you will be ready for doing a general question also. What is that I am trying to tell you, my dear friends? This is what the question told you. Okay, so let me do this question. I hope it will work. A ray of light is incident along I cap plus j cap minus k cap, and the normal on the incident point is given along I cap plus j cap. Unit vector along the reflected direction is what? Okay. Which way was my incident vector coming? It was given to me as I cap plus j cap minus k cap. Which way was the normal coming to me? I cap plus j cap. My dear friends, do you all agree with me that when I go from the incident direction to the reflected direction, the components along I cap and j cap will undergo a shift and k cap will remain unaltered because the normal is along I cap plus j cap direction. Only the components along the Direction of normal, flip around. So what do I end up getting? The reflected ray direction. I becomes minus I, J becomes minus J, and K remains to be as minus K. But boss, this is not the unit vector. You have to find out the unit vector. How do you find out the unit vector? By dividing it by the magnitude. So I cap plus J cap plus K cap. Yes, I have not forgotten the minus sign. Minus sign I will take out common. What is the magnitude of this? Equal to under root of 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square, which is nothing but this whole number divided by root 3. Sir, there is minus sign which I have taken out common. I cap plus J cap plus K cap. So I think the only great takeaway from this question is, when you want to find out the reflected ray, then just flip the components along the normal, rest of it remains unaltered. My dear friends, have you understood? Can I go to the next question? Please remember that this much simple question will not come in the exam. There you may have to imagine and draw your diagram also from your own side. Okay. So I've got a lot of yeses. I will clean the screen and go to the next question. Two plane mirrors are inclined to each other at a certain angle. A ray of light first incident on one of them at an angle of inclination of 10 degree with the mirror retraces its path after 5 reflection. Find out the angle between the two mirrors. So, what did he tell us in the question? This was the question. This is my mirror number 1. Okay. My sincere advice to all of you is that when you are writing the JEE exam, please read question carefully. Otherwise, even after knowing everything, you will end up getting negative marks. Okay. The incident ray came along this direction. Boss, its angle with the normal is not given. Its angle with the mirror is given. This is given to me as 10 degree. Many people will not understand that only properly. Anyway, this is my reflection number 1. Then there is reflection number 2. Then there is reflection number 3. Then there is reflection number 4. After the 5th reflection, I should be retracing my path. My dear friends, do you all agree with me that if I have to retrace path, I have to come and hit mirror M1 at 90 degrees to the mirror? I have to come and hit the mirror. If I go and hit at 90 degrees, I will bounce back as it is and I will be able to retrace my path. So whenever he talks about retracing path, one thing is common in all such questions, that it should go and hit it at 90 degrees normal incidence. So what do I do now? This angle, let me call it as phi. Okay. Please check. If this angle is phi, I will change my pen color. This angle is 90. So how much is this angle from triangle properties? 90 minus phi. Also, there is a reflection here to show that I will draw normal here, I will draw normal here, I will draw normal here. I have already drawn normal here. If this is 90 minus phi, my dear friends, I hope all of you understand that this angle in that case becomes equal to phi, because that is the angle between the normal and the mirror. Is it okay with all of you? That small angle on the 4th reflection, I am calling it as phi. Is it clear to all of you? The 4th angle at the angle of reflection is what I am calling it as phi. If the angle of reflection phi, you can immediately break back and see this angle is also phi. Reflection properties, angle of incidence is same as angle of reflection. Now I am staring at one more 90 degree right angle triangle in which total angle is 2 phi. This angle is 90 degree. So how much is this angle equal to? 90 minus 2 phi. If I use the same logic one more time, I think I have to change my pen color again. Then this will come 2 phi and this will also come 2 phi. Angle of incidence and angle of reflection are all 2 phi. Okay. If you go backwards and continue doing the calculations, possible, I think I should give that task to you, but I am also in a hurry to do a lot of questions. Then this angle will come 3 phi and this angle will also come 3 phi. So what is that I am trying to do? I am trying to write all the reflections in terms of phi. And this 4th angle will come 4 phi and this angle will also come 4 phi. Now, the last but not the least step, do you all agree with me that this total angle should be equal to 90? So I can write down 4 phi plus 10 is equal to 90. So in that case, what will phi become equal to? 90 minus 10 divided by 4, which is equal to 20 degrees. I just did two things, sir, and that is why proudly this chapter called as geometrical optics. Also, I use geometry and laws of reflection, nothing more than that. Okay, and I think the only takeaway from this question is whenever he says it should go back to the point where it starts, retrace its path, then somewhere it should be hitting one of the reflectors normally. Please copy down. Let me know if you have go ahead any issues. Please let me know. Otherwise, we'll go ahead. Okay, so we will now go to the next question. Let us see what is the next question all about. A thin rod of focal length f by 3 is placed along the optic axis of a concave mirror of focal length f such that its image is real and elongated and just touches the object. The magnification produced by the mirror is equal to how much? People, let me first draw the diagram. Let's understand what is he asking us, and then we will discuss and go ahead. Let's go to a blank screen. Very popular question. Possibly, if you have done this before, you would have seen it. This question somewhere in other books also. Now, this is my concave mirror. This is my concave mirror, and its focal length is given to me as f. This is its principal axis, and on the principal axis, along the principal axis, I have an object whose length is given to me as f by 3. This point is the focus. This point is center of curvature, which is also 2f. I'm very sure I have not spoken anything alien till now. Now, my first question to all of you before we start doing the question. This object f by 3 is kept along the principal axis. Somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it is kept along the principal axis. I have taught you the magnification formula yesterday, minus v divided by u. Sir, can I use this formula? I cannot use this formula. Can I use this formula? I cannot use this formula. I have got Avikal's answer. Yes, it is right. I have got Sharanya's answer. Yes, ma'am, you are also right. Yes, sir. Few more replies before we can go ahead. Purchase one. I'm sorry, you are wrong, sir. I'm also seeing in the class you after very long time. No, you cannot use that formula because that formula is for perpendicular magnification, not along the principal axis. Yesterday, also while teaching you curved mirrors, I told you that please don't use that formula. Okay, it is only for perpendicular principal axis, not along it. So please correct yours. My second question to all of you. Yes, while teaching you the curved mirrors, I also wrote down a formula which Mithul is sending to me also now. He says, sir, you wrote down the magnification formula is equal to minus v square by u square. But boss, including Mithul, sir, when I was writing this formula, I told avoid using this formula. I hope all of you remember that as well. I said, yes, in the books, you will get a formula of minus v square by u square for along the principal axis. Please avoid this formula. So when you look at the question, people, you have to decide whether to do that formula or whether not to do that formula. How do you decide? Because it's the first time we are doing, I will tell you. Next time you have to decide. I will not tell you anything at all. The length of this thing is given to me as f by 3. The focal length is given to me as f. I am not talking about equality and inequality. But my dear friends, do you all agree with me that f and f by 3 are not very different from each other? They are comparable numbers, something like 3 and 9, something like 27 and 9, something like that. Are they comparable numbers? So please remember, before you apply this formula, which I have written on the screen right now, minus v square by u square, you will check is the size of the object and the focal length comparable or not. If it is comparable, boss, for sure guaranteed this formula is not working. For sure guaranteed that this formula is not working. So I will not be using this formula. I will be doing by other method. Now I have another quick question for all of you, and please reply quickly. If I give you f divided by 100 as the object size, will you be able to apply the formula f divided by 100? Will you be able to apply that formula f divided by 100? Will you be able to apply that formula? Yes. Sharanya says yes, sir. Sir, yes, f and 100 have a difference of f and f divided by 100 have a gap of 100. So you can apply anything more than 100 division. You can apply that formula because big gap has come in between. Okay. So let's not say that this formula is always wrong. Sometimes it helps you to do questions quickly, but most of the times it is wrong. So what should I do now? Is my question solved? No, I am in a bigger problem now. Please see. So I will do one very quick thing. I will rub off the screen and redraw the diagram for you. This is my concave mirror. This is the principal axis. F here, 2F here. And now I can keep the objects. Where to keep it? I have not yet decided that. So first let us decide that. My dear friends, my third question in the sequence of questions is that he told us, if you would have read the question properly, that the one end of the object and the image is coinciding. My dear friends, do you all agree with me that object and image coincidence for a concave mirror only happens at 2f? The two only for 2f the object and image will be formed at the same point. So one thing is sure, boss, that one of the end of the rod is on 2f. But is my problem still solved? No, sir. I'm only getting deeper and deeper into the problem. So one end is at 2f. Object size is f by 3. I can keep it this way. I can keep it this way also. Suppose I keep it this way, then I'm very sure all of you can figure out that this coordinate becomes equal to 2f minus f by 3, which is equal to 5f by 3. While if I keep it here, then what does the coordinate becomes? 2f plus f by 3, which eventually lands up becoming 7f by 3. Since no approximation is working, you will take u1 to be as equal to this, find v1. You will take u1 to be as equal to this and find v1. But since I have already done that, both are not right. I am not telling do it 2 times. I am only checking. If I take this as the u1 value, the size of the image which I am getting is longer. If I am taking this value, then I am getting a contracted image. But in the question, he told that the image is elongated. That means my second assumption of 7f by 3 is going wrong. My dear friends, before I go ahead and solve the complete question, did you understand the second point? Did you understand the second point? I kept, it was given to me that the object is of size f by 3, and I could have kept it 2 ways. Okay, one end is at 2f, it can keep it to the left, you can keep it to the right. If I keep it to the left, then this coordinate becomes 5f by 3. And I find out v value to calculate size. If I keep it the other way, then this coordinate u value becomes 7f by 3. Mr. Mitul and Avikal ji, what I am calling u1 for 2 different cases, is it understandable to you? In one time when it is left, it is 2f minus f by 3. In the other case, it is 2f plus f by 3. Mitul ji, Avikal ji, have you understood what is that I am telling you? Mitul also, I think he also raised a doubt about this. I am just I'm just checking the possibilities, sir. I'm not doing anything more than that. Okay. So if I keep it at 5f by 3 and I calculate the v value, it becomes a little longer. If I take 7f by 3 and calculate the value, it becomes a little shorter. But the question tells it has to be elongated. That means 7f by 3 is wrong. Mitul, Avikal, is it clear to you? What did I tell you? I am just exploring possibilities, sir, and I'm checking which looks to be the correct thing. It is 5f by 3 or 7f by 3, and it is turning out to be 5f by 3. Now this last calculation I will not do, sir, you will do. That means after all this discussion, we have got to know that this option is not correct, this option is right. So how do you calculate magnification? One end you already know is at 2f. So you have to find out the other end. What to do, how to find out the other end? Let's do it here. What is your mirror formula, boss? 1 by v plus 1 by u is equal to 1 by f. 1 by v plus, I hope all of you agree with me that this point's coordinate u value is equal to minus 5f/3. Minus sign coming because of sign convention. And this is a concave mirror. Concave mirror focal length is minus f. Can you please very quickly calculate and tell me the V value that you get, sir? Quickly, not more than few seconds. Can you please tell me the V value that you're getting with a proper plus minus sign? With a proper plus minus sign. Be quick, please. Be quick, please. Yes, what is the V value you get? Sir, be fast, please. Yes, few more replies. Yes, Virtus one, Sharanya, but ma'am, your answer is absolutely wrong. Please check what you're doing. Please make sure you do the correct algebra. Only Virtus one has given me the right answer till now. Yes, few more right answers I have got now. Few more right answers. Nidhi has given me the right answer. Avikal has also given me the right answer. Om has also given me the right answer. I cannot wait anymore. So are you all getting V to be as equal to 5f/2? Are you all getting V to be as equal to minus 5f/2? Is that the answer? V is equal to, Mahati only tells yes sir, no sir. She never gives the answer. V is equal to minus 5f/2. So one last time I will clean my screen so that we can understand the diagram here properly. Let me clean the screen. What did I get till now? I got that if I take a concave mirror and I keep an object between f and 2f whose length is equal to f/3, then the image comes oriented this way and this coordinate is 5f/2. Okay, minus sign only showed the direction. Sir, this is all 5/2 is also 2.5f. Do you agree with me that this length is f/2? 0.5f I am writing as equal to f/2. 0.5f I am writing as equal to f/2. 0.5f I am writing as equal to f/2. He asked me to calculate the magnification, my dear friends. What should you be doing? Length of the image divided by length of the objects. My dear friend, do you also agree with me that the image appears to be flipped around by 180 degree? What was on the left has come to the right. Is it an inversion, a longitudinal inversion? So I will write a minus sign. What is the length of the image equal to f/2? What is the length of the object equal to f/3? So what is my final answer equal to minus 3/2? So before applying any blind formula, check whether it will work or not work. Then you will deep dive into it and do the question. Please copy it down. Let me know if you have some doubts, or else we should push ahead. Okay, great. We go to the next question. This is an amazing question, but it is not a mains level question. It is an advanced level question, but let's discuss. Anyway, during that time, we will get any time to discuss or not, we don't know. Being filled with water, a motionless fish looks up vertically through the source of the water at a monochromatic plane wave source of frequency f. If the index of refraction of water is mu and the water level rises at a rate of dh divided by dt, then the apparent shift in the frequency df divided by f that the fish observes is velocity of light can be taken as c. A lot of people in the class are understanding, sir, what is this question telling us? I am not even understanding what is he trying to tell. No worries, sir. We will discuss it and only then do the question. But let's go back and see what is the question telling me. It says the following. Let me divide my screen into parts first. This is my water level. Water is being poured to it, so water level is rising. There is a fish here in water. Water's refractive index is being called as mu. And there is a source here, S, which is creating light of frequency F. Why should change in frequency happen? Where should change in frequency take place from? Now, if you remember from your discussions of first year and also a bit of second year, frequency change means Doppler's effect is happening. Doppler effect means things to be appearing to be move with respect to each other, and that is why velocity is there, and that's why Doppler effect is showing up. Do you all agree with my last statement, sir? Any change in frequency can be only brought about by either Doppler's effect of light or Doppler's effect of sound. Yes, this is not sound, this is light, easier to be dealt with. Maybe only the starting formula may be a little difficult. But let me call this distance to be as equal to h dash. And let me call this distance to be as equal to h. Okay. Between the source and the water surface, the height is equal to h. Between the water surface and the fish, the height is equal to h dash. Okay. The total gap between the source and the fish is what I am going to call it as y. Now, this is where the whole beauty of this topic starts from. My dear friends, fish is in water, h dash is also being measured in water, so y will be equal to h dash. No alteration in that part. But if I ask all of you a question that although the source is in air, the observer, the fish is in water. So when the light comes from the source to the fish, do you agree with me? There'll be a slight amount of refraction because of change in medium. When the light enters from the source to the fish, because of refraction, there will be slight changes. How do I take into account that change? I will write down the following. In air, the height was equal to h. In refractive index mu, it becomes equal to h double dash. So from here, what does h double dash become equal to? It becomes equal to mu times of h. So let me put it here and write down mu h. So the distance measured in the same medium will not undergo any change, while the distances measured in the other medium is what will undergo a change. I know why. Now I have the last question to ask of all of you, after which I will happily complete the question. Sir, if the water is rising, if water is being filled into the container, do you agree with me? H dash and H will change, and hence Y will also change, and it will appear to the fish as if the source is moving away or getting closer. That is how Doppler effect can pitch into this question. I'm again repeating for all of you, because of the changes in water level, h and h dash is changing, so y is changing, so it will appear to the fish as if things are moving away or getting closer. So how do I find out the velocity? I will differentiate. Dy divided by dt is equal to dh dash divided by dt plus mu times of dh divided by dt. One last thing and we are done. We are almost at the end of the story. So do you agree with me that if h increases, h dash will decrease and the other way around? If h increases, then h dash should reduce and the other way around. So what will I substitute? dh dash divided by dt equal to, I will substitute as equal to minus dh by dt, because one's gains is other loss. So what do I end up getting here? Mu out common, 1 out common into dh divided by dt. If you know this much, you are almost done 90% of the question. Only thing that you have to know is Doppler's effect formula for light. Now I'm very sure many of you don't know that, so I will write that also down for you. Doppler's effect for light says that change in frequency by original frequency is equal to velocity between the source and the observer divided by c. My dear friends, one last question and then we are done. Do you agree with me? Dy by dt gives me nothing but the velocity with which the gap appears to be changing between the fish and the source. The gap, rate of change of the gap equal to mu minus 1 dh divided by dt. We have got the answer. So I will write down the last step and then we are done. df divided by f is equal to mu minus 1 into dh divided by dt further divided by c. This is my answer. Please write it down. It's a good question. If you're done writing, if you have any doubt, please ask. Next question looks to be a good question. A ray of light is incident grazing of the face AB to a right angle prism as shown to you in the diagram. It emerges out of the face AC and has an angle of emergence of E. Refractive index of different medium are given. Starting medium was mu1, second medium was mu2, last medium was air. Choose which of the alternatives are correct. Now, my dear friends, yes, if I remember correctly, I had discussed prisms also to some extent yesterday. Sir, am I right or wrong? Did we get time to discuss prisms also to some extent at least yesterday? Because everything discussion is not possible for me in limited time. But let us do this question right now. Let us do this question right now. This was my right angled prism. This medium was mu1, the internal medium was mu2, this is air, so refractive index is 1. The light comes grazing this surface, bends once, bends twice, comes out, this angle is E. This angle I am naming from my side R1 and R2. People, I want your help. I want to apply Snell's law here and Snell's law here. Sir, for the first case, do you agree with me that the initial angle, grazing angle means angle of incidence is 90? The initial angle is 90. Yeses, no's from your side. The first starting angle is equal to 90. So if it is 90, and if I apply Snell's law, what will I end up getting? Mu1 into sine 90 is equal to mu2 into sine R1, implying that sine R1 is equal to mu1 divided by mu2. Yes, let me apply Snell's law on the second surface also. I will end up getting now mu into sine R2 is equal to 1 into sine E. Question is asking you to figure out sine E value. All the expressions are all about that. Sir, my dear friends, yesterday while discussing, I also told you R1 plus R2 is equal to A, but in this case, A is equal to 90. I hope you all are following what I am telling. So R2 will become equal to 90 minus R1. So what will sine of R2 become equal to cos of R1? Now from here, my dear friends, will you be able to figure out the cos R1 value also, because you already know sine R1 value? If you know cos R1, you also know sine R2 value. Plug it back into the last expression. Tell me which option is right. Your time starts now. Please be quick. Please be quick. Sine R2 I have written for you. Find out cos R1, then find out sine R2. Keep go on, go doing. Your answer will come very shortly. What is the final answer? Mahati madam, will you reply also once, ma'am? Which option looks correct to you? Yes, Ananya has sent me a bit of answer. 45 degrees, Mahati. Nobody asked you to find out. You were to figure out which of the option is right. You were to figure out which option is right. I'm going back and show you the options also. Sir, is A the correct answer? Is A the correct answer? Answer is given right here. Please don't be dishonest and copy and tell me. If you have found out only, then tell me it is A the correct answer or not. How much time, sir, you are taking? How will you write mains exam? Okay, so let me also do it on the screen. Natasha has got the answer. Lalit Kishore has honestly done and he's telling that is the answer. I don't know about other people in the class. Yes, sir, this is what we got. Let us go to the blank screen and do the question. We ended up getting, after doing whatever maths I wrote on the screen for you, sine of R1 was coming to be as equal to mu1 divided by mu2. So do you all agree with this at least? Sine R1 came mu1 divided by mu2. Yes, no, at least that much I am asking you. People who have not got the answer also, at least for them I am asking that. We also, I wrote down that R1 plus R2 is equal to 90 because it was a right angled prism. So what will R2 from here become equal to 90 minus R1? So what will sine R2 become equal to cos R1? My dear friends, Avikal and Neeraj and those other few people who asked out, is it going okay till now? Are you figuring out what we are doing? Because in the next step, I will get the answer directly for you. Yes, no. Neeraj and Avikal. Neeraj and Avikal. Neeraj and Avikal. So if I apply Snell's law on the second surface, what should I be writing? Mu2 into sine R2 is equal to 1 into sine of E. I want the answer in terms of sine E. Everything else is refractive index. So let me substitute. What is, if sine r1 is equal to this much, how much is cos r1 equal to 1 minus mu1 divided by mu2 whole square. Take this value, plug it here, things will cancel, answer will come A. Avikal and Neeraj, is it doable now for you? This is what are the steps I told you previously also. Neeraj ji, Avikal ji, is it okay? Will it be doable for you at least now? After you put those numbers? Yes, sir. Okay, let's go ahead. Clean the screen. I have not got a yes from Neeraj till now. Now is that he's sending it to me. Let's go to the next question. The position of the final image formed by the given lens combination from the third lens will be equal to how much? When I go to the blank screen, you have to tell me the numbers. So this is what he has given. The first lens focal length is 10. The second lens focal length is minus 10. The third lens focal length is plus 30. Where is the final image formed? Let's go to a blank screen and discuss some quick things. Yes. When we were doing the actual ray optics chapter, I told you that if you have very thin lenses touching each other without any air gaps in between them, f1 here, f2 here, then it can equivalently be replaced by a lens 1 by f equivalent is equal to 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2. Okay. Or you can also write down power equivalent is equal to P1 plus P2. You can also write down M, total magnification is M1 into M2. Yes, all these formulas come with their own riders. This will work only when there is no air gap and few lenses are there. You cannot make use of it for 20 lenses. If some book does that, it is wrong book. Power, this can also be done only for few lenses. Magnification will work for any number of lenses. 20 lens, 30 lens, any number of lens, that formula will work. Now, compare this with what I showed you in the diagram just now. I will go back to the diagram and show you. Sir, in the case, in the diagram which is given to me on the screen right now, do you agree with me? Lenses have big air gaps in between. So all this which I taught you will not work here. The lenses have multiple big air gaps in between them. So this shortcut method of 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2 plus 1 by f3 will not work anymore. So what is the other alternative method? Is it very difficult, sir? No, sir. That is also very, very simple. It will be also very, very simple. And Avikal says we have to use virtual object, right, sir? Perfectly all right. Let me clean the screen and do the question one more time. Please remember the numbers. So I've been given lenses with big air gaps in between, 5 in case of the first two, 10 in case of the second two. Can I know it from all of you? Do you all agree with me that approximation formula will not work anymore? Do you all agree with me that 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2 plus 1 by f3 and blah 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 will not work anymore? You have to do the question actually. So let's go to the empty screen and do the question actually. I want help from you people. You were reading the question all the while. This is my common principal axis. This is my common principal axis. Please let me know, my friends, what is the focal length of the first lens? Was it 30 if I am right? Because the first lens was 10. Yes, Natasha is right. First f1 was equal to plus 10 centimeter. Sir, second was equal to how much? Minus 10, right? Second was minus 10, minus 10. Yes. Second was minus 10. Second was minus 10. Yes. Second was minus 10. And third one was plus 30. Third one was plus 30. Third one was plus 30. F is equal to plus 30. And what was the first gap between them, sir? 5 centimeters. The first gap was 5 centimeters. The first gap was 5 centimeters. Gap I am asking, sir, not the object distance. Sir, second gap was equal to how much? Second gap was equal to how much? It was 10. Second gap was equal to 10. Second gap was equal to 10. Okay. Second gap is equal to 10 centimeters. And how far was the object actually kept at? Object was kept at a distance of 30 centimeters. Am I right? Object was kept at a distance of 30 centimeters. So as some of you already pointed out, I have to take lens 1 separately, lens 2 separately, lens 3 separately. Do you all agree with me? So let's start with the first lens. What is lens formula? 1 by V minus 1 by U. U is minus 30 coming from sign convention is equal to 1 divided by plus 10. First answer. V1 value, quick friends. Quick, friends. Vaidehi, yes, ma'am. Right answer. What about the other people in the class? Be quick, sir. Don't take hours to solve that question. Is it 15? Is it 15? I will not go on waiting for all of you. So I am getting the first answer to be equal to plus 15 centimeters. So ray started from 30 and had nothing else blocked the path of the rays, it would have converged at a distance of 15. But that did not happen because one more lens came in between. Sir, with if you all allow me, can I treat this image number one as the virtual object for the second lens, as pointed out by Mr. Avikal Gupta long back? Can I treat this I1 as a virtual object for lens number two? So what will I now write down? Please start with your pens and papers. 1 divided by V2 plus 1 divided by, sir, I have to subtract this gap also to remember. 15 minus 5, it is 10 because it's virtual, plus 10, 1 divided by minus 10. Sir, V2 value or 1 by V2 value also you can tell. Is it coming 0? I'm sorry, I've written a wrong formula also. It is length, so I should write on minus sign. Sir, is it 0? Is V2 infinity? Is V2 infinity? Is V2 infinity? Is V2 infinity? Yes, it is turning out to be as equal to infinity. That means after passing through the second lens, the rays are becoming parallel. Sir, if they are becoming parallel, do you agree with me that the third lens, no requirement of any formula, it will converge at 30? Is it common sense? No maths required for it. It will be just converging at 30 centimeters. And with that, I will come to the end of the question. Please remember the takeaway from this question. And it is telling you that for multiple lenses with air gaps in between, just do the process that many number of times. Done. Can I clean the screen and go ahead? Next question. A ray of light falls on a transparent sphere with center at C as shown to you in the diagram. The ray emerges from the sphere parallel to the line AB. The refractive index of the sphere is equal to how much? Sir, before I change my page and go to a blank screen, my quick question to all of you, is a sphere a big fat sphere a thin lens or a thick lens? Is a sphere a thick lens or a thin lens? Yes, beautiful Nidhi. She says it's definitely not a thin lens. It has to be a thick lens, not very thick and all, but yes, it's a thick lens. Okay. So what should we be doing? What should we be doing? Okay. Now, this is my sphere. This was what the question was asking me. The light ray came making an angle of 60 degree. If I extend the normal, you all, I hope, agree with me that it will go and hit the center of curvature. Because the light went into some medium, it bent towards the normal, kept on going straight, then it again hit the normal, and now it came out like this. Okay. When I went from rarer to denser medium, this angle is theta. My dear friend, do you all agree with me? Triangle ABC is a isosceles triangle because two sides are radii of it. So if this angle is theta, this angle is also theta. So if 60 became theta from rarer to denser, theta should again become equal to 60. Clear to all of you? Why am I writing this third angle to be as equal to 60? Is it clear to all of you? I have not yet used much of the question at all. If this angle is 60 and these two lines are parallel as quoted in the question, do you agree with me? This angle will also be 60. And if I use the internal angle property, 2 theta is 60, theta is 30. Yes. 2 theta is equal to sum of interior opposite angle is equal to exterior angle 60. Theta is equal to 30. I know the exterior angle, I know the interior angle. Can I find out the refractive index? Yes, I am right there at the answer. 1 into sine 60 is equal to mu into sine 30. जल्दी से मेरे भाई आंसर बोलो. What is the answer? Tan root 3, root 3, root 3, root 3, root 3, root 3. Mu is equal to root 3. Mu is equal to root 3. Okay. So I'm done. Ma'am, I don't want to call it a slab because Nidhi, please see here. The light ray went in like this. It suffered one bending. Okay. Wait a minute. I think, yeah, it suffered one bending. Then it suffered one more bending and came out like this. By looking at the diagram, is it anyway clear to you that this light and this light is anyway parallel to each other? There's no lateral shift. Why are you thinking even it as a slab? There's nothing slabbish in this question, ma'am. Nidhi, does it reply to your question, ma'am? There's nothing which is very slab in nature. It's only that 60 became theta, so theta should go back to 60. That's all. Nidhi, does it reply to your question, ma'am? Can I go ahead? Yes. Okay, we'll clean the screen and go ahead. And we are on which question now? Eighth one. A point object O is placed on the principal axis of a convex lens of focal length 20 centimeter at a distance of 40 centimeter. Before even I draw the diagram, do you all agree with me? Object is at 2f, so image should be also at 2f. Double of 20 is 40, it is at 40, so image should also be at 2f. If you do lens mirror calculation for this also, sir, worth it? Not worth it, definitely. The diameter of the lens is 10 centimeter. Eye is placed 60 centimeters to the right of the lens and at a distance of h below the principal axis. The value of h is how much? Let's draw the diagram and try to understand the question a little better. He told us in the question that there is a biconvex lens. There is an object kept at 40, and you all agree with me, it is at 2f, so image will also be formed at 2f. He also told me that this aperture diameter d is equal to 10 centimeters. You all also agreed with me that if this is 40, this should also be 40. But this is where the twist in the question comes, right? The rays, after converging at 40, they will not stop, they will continue moving forward. This guy goes up, this guy crosses over and goes down. My eye was kept at a distance of 60 centimeters from the lens. Yes, if I keep it at a depth of h, actually it is a depth, but I'm writing it as h. Do you all agree, my dear friends, that this angle and this triangle appear to be very similar triangle by nature? Yes or no? The bigger triangle and the smaller triangle on the right, the bottom triangle, appear to be similar triangle. If it is similar triangle, I can find out the numbers using ratios. The diameter was 10, so this is equal to 5. So I will write down 5 divided by h is equal to, sir, this distance is 40. Do you agree with me? 60 minus 40, this should be 20. Yes or no? 5's corresponding number is 40 and 60's corresponding number is 20. This gets cancelled, I get 2. So what is h equal to? 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 centimeters. Please copy it down. Let me know if you have some doubts. I just applied simple geometry, nothing more than that. Any doubts? Or if it is done,